The Order of the Visitation of Holy Mary of the Visitation Order is an enclosed Roman Catholic religious order for women. Members of the order are also known as the Salesian Sisters, or, more commonly, as the Visitandines or Visitation Sisters. History of the Order. The Order of the Visitation was founded in 1610 by St. Francis de Sales and St. Jane Francis de Chantal in Annecy, Haute-Savoie, France. At first the founder had not a religious order in mind. He wished to form a congregation without external vows, where the cloister should be observed only during the year of novitiate, after which the sisters should be free to go out by turns to visit the sick and poor. The order was given the name of the Visitation of Holy Mary with the intention that the sisters would follow the example of Virgin Mary in her joyful visit to her kinswoman Elizabeth. He invited Jane de Chantal to join him in establishing a new type of religious life, one open to older women and those of delicate constitution, that would stress the hidden inner virtues of humility, obedience, poverty, even-tempered charity, and patience, and founded on the example of Mary in her journey of mercy to her cousin Elizabeth. The order was established to welcome those not able to practice austerities required in other orders. Instead of chanting the canonical office in the middle of the night, the sisters recited the little office of the Blessed Virgin at 8:30 in the evening. There was no perpetual abstinence nor prolonged fast. The Order of the Visitation of Mary was canonically erected in 1618 by Paul V, who granted it all the privileges enjoyed by the other orders. A bull of Urban VIII solemnly approved it in 1626. Charism. The special charism of the Visitation Order is an interior discipline expressed primarily through the practice of two virtues: humility and gentleness. The motto of the order is Live Jesus. Expansion. A foundation was established in Lyons in 1615, followed by Moulins, Grenoble, Bourges and Paris. When St. Francis de Sales died, there were 13 convents established. At the death of St. Jane Francis de Chantal in 1641, there were 86. The order spread from France throughout Europe and to North America. Portugal. The Order of the Visitation is present in Portugal since 1784, maintaining today 3 monasteries, in Braga, in Vila das Aves and in Batalha. The Sisters of the Visitation in Portugal produce and distribute the emblems of the Sacred Heart of Jesus as St. Margaret Mary Alacoque did in the past. England. At the French Revolution in 1789, when all the religious houses were suppressed, many of the French sisters took refuge in other Catholic countries. The sisters in Rouen, northern France, fled to Portuguese monasteries, having only escaped the guillotine by the death of Robespierre in 1794. In 1803, 6 sisters left Lisbon in an English packet ship, and while at sea, they were attacked by French pirates. They were spared because of the nationality and were returned safely to the Spanish seaport of Vigo. After a brief sojourn in Spain, 3 of the sisters made a second attempt to cross from Porto and without further encounters with pirates arrived in Falmouth on the 29th of January 1804. They later journeyed to Acton and founded the first monastery of the Visitation on English soil on the 19th of March 1804. Germany. In 1835, the Order of the Visitation of Holy Mary of Dietramschule acquired Buerberg Abbey in Eurasburg, Germany. Between 1846 and 1938, they ran a girls' school and a home for nursing mothers at Buerberg Abbey, and afterwards an old of People's Convalescent Home. The abbey still belongs to the Order of the Visitation of Holy Mary, Ireland. The Visitation Sisters came to Ireland in 1955 and founded a monastery at Stamullen, Co. Meath, when Mother Mary Teresa O'Dwyer, superior of the Visitation Monastery of Roseland, England, learned that the Brothers of St. John of God were moving out of Silverstream. She applied to the Bishop of Meath, Dry Kind, for permission for the Order of the Visitation to enter his diocese. Staffing problems were solved by borrowing 3 sisters from America. The Visitation Monasteries of St. Paul, Minnesota, Brooklyn, New York, and Atlanta, Georgia each lent a sister. There are about 130 autonomous monasteries of the worldwide contemplative Order of the Visitation of Holy Mary. Asia, Africa, North America, Central America, South America, and Europe. In the United States. In the United States, there are 11 monasteries in 2 federations. The monasteries of the first federation live the purely contemplative life, observing papal enclosure. Of the 11 monasteries of the Visitation in the United States, 6 belong to the First Federation. First Federation. The Convent of the Visitation in Mobile, Alabama was founded in 1833 by Bishop Michael Portier, first Bishop of Mobile. Aware of the lack of schools in his diocese, he remembered the fine work of the Visitation nuns throughout his native France. 5 nuns from the monastery in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. boarded a sailing ship in November 1832 and arrived in Mobile a month later. In March 1840, a tornado leveled the buildings. In the 1950s, the school was converted to a retreat house. The monastery also serves as a distribution center for communion breads used by churches throughout the Mobile Archdiocese and for many churches in surrounding states. A service extended to a number of non-Catholic churches as well. In 1866, Visitation Sisters from Baltimore, Maryland came to Richmond, Virginia at the request of Bishop John McGill. In 1987, the Visitation Sisters relocated to Rockville, Virginia. The Visitation Community of Massachusetts lived in Wilmington, Delaware from 1893 to 1993. In 1992, the sisters voted to relocate to the present home in Tyringham in December 1995. The Visitation Community of Tyringham, Massachusetts was founded in 1853 in Keokuk, Iowa by the Visitation Monastery of Mount-Chantal, France. In the 19th century, it was necessary for visitation communities, both in France and in the United States, to have academies for girls in order to support themselves. After having moved from Keokuk, Iowa, to Suspension Bridge, New York, and then, lastly, to Wilmington, Delaware in 1868, a generous benefactress enabled the community to close the school in 1893 and live the full contemplative life. In 1993, the community relocated to Massachusetts and moved into its present monastery, Mont-Chantal. In December 1995, the Monastery of the Visitation was established in Atlanta, Georgia and moved to Snellville, Georgia in 1974. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Second Federation Sisters of the Second Federation add apostolic monasteries to the contemplative life. Georgetown Visitation Monastery was the first house of the Visitation founded in the United States. In 1799, 3 sisters in the order were given permission by Archbishop Leonard Neal to start a girls' school located next to Georgetown University, in Washington, D.C., called the Georgetown Visitation Preparatory School. In 1816, the Georgetown Visitation Monastery was founded with Teresa Laylaw as superior. On May 3 of 1833, 8 sisters from the Georgetown Visitation founded the first Visitation Academy in the Midwest at Kaskaskia, Illinois. On the final leg of the trip from Georgetown, the sisters crossed the Mississippi River from Missouri into Illinois. First-person accounts tell of the sisters sitting in a ferry boat that took them across the river. They sat dangerously close to the brown water. Green caterpillars covered its surface around the boat. In April 1844, 6 sisters left to begin the Visitation Academy of St. Louis in St. Louis, Missouri. On June 24, the flooding Mississippi River forced evacuation from Kaskaskia, and a steamboat bearing visitors to the monastery rescued sisters, students, and furnishings through the second-story windows, and transported them to St. Louis. In 1992, 5 sisters from the Rock Island, Illinois Visitation merged with the St. Louis community. In 1846, 11 of the Georgetown Visitation Sisters relocated to Frederick, Maryland to carry on a school began by the Sisters of Charity in 1824, which from that date became the Visitation Academy of Frederick, which is still operating today and had an important part in Civil War history, when it was occupied in September 1862 by Union troops and became General Hospital No. 5 following the battles of South Mountain and Antietam. The Visitation Monastery in Brooklyn, New York was founded in 1855. In 1873, 6 Sisters of the Visitation from St. Louis, Missouri traveled by steamship for 8 days up the Mississippi River to the fast-growing river town of St. Paul, Minnesota, at the request of Bishop Grace, who asked them to make a new foundation and open a school. In 1966, the sisters moved to Mendota Heights, where the larger facility allowed for expanded programs and enrollment. In 1989, the leadership of the Second Federation of the Visitation Order in the United States of America established an urban monastic community in Minneapolis, Minnesota. As part of the ministry to families, they offer education sessions, such as cooking and nutrition, finance and budgeting, college preparation, etc., for neighborhood teens. The Mount-Chantal Visitation Academy was founded in 1848 as the Wheeling Female Academy in downtown Wheeling, West Virginia, and in 1865 assumed its current name. While grades 5 through 12 were all female, Mount-Chantal's Montessori and elementary schools were co-ed. The schools ceased operations on May 31, 2008, and the nuns relocated to the Georgetown Visitation in Washington, D.C. The building was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1978, before being razed on November 7, 2011. Noted Visitandines. The best-known saint of the order is Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque, who reportedly received the revelations of the Sacred Heart, resulting in the First Friday devotions and holy hours. On May 10, 1998, 7 Visitandines of the First Monastery of Madrid, Spain, martyred during the Spanish Revolution of 1936, were beatified in Rome by Pope John Paul II. Blessed Maria Gabriela de Hinojosa Navarras, B.L. Teresa Maria Cavestany y and Waga, B.L. Josefa Maria Barrera Izaguirre, B.L. Maria Inés Zuder Galdiano, B.L. Maria Cecilia Sendoya Aquistain, B.L. Maria Ingracia Lecona Aramburu, B.L. Maria Angela Olezola Garagaza, B. November 12, 1893 in Azpixa Gipuzkoa. The nuns were members of the Madrid House of the Order of the Visitation. In early 1936, during the Spanish Civil War, as religious persecution intensified, most of the community moved to Oronoz, leaving a group of 6 nuns in the charge of Senior Maria Gabriela de Hinojosa. By July they were confined to their apartment when a neighbor reported them to the authorities, and on November 1936 their apartment searched. Nevertheless, they refused to seek refuge in the consulates. The following evening, a patrol of the Iberian Anarchist Federation broke into the apartment and ordered all the sisters to leave. They were taken by van to a vacant area and shot. Senior Maria Cecilia, who had run when she felt the sister next to her fall, surrendered shortly after and was shot 5 days later at the cemetery wall in Vallecas on the outskirts of Madrid. In 2010, in honor of the worldwide Jubilee year from the Visitation Order, Pope Benedict XVI granted a plenary indulgence to those who would make a visit to and pray in a Visitation monastery. Lenny Martin, the sister of St. Therese of the Child Jesus and the Holy Face, became a nun of the Order of the Visitation. She received the veil on the 2nd of July 1900 and took the name Sister Françoise Thérèse Martin. On the 24th of January 2015, the process for Leonie's beatification began and she is now known as Servant of God.